Hey everybody, it's Leslie Rohde with Marketers Braintrust, and we are now live, 3 minutes late due to audio difficulties on my end. I am joined by the full crew today. So we have Michelle Chan-Sang-Thong, there I did it correctly this time, and Corey Burke, that's a damn sight easier to say, and Dan Fees. That's pretty easy too. Okay, so let's see, we do have a prepared presentation, but before we get into that, Dan, is there any news that's actually worth newsifying for people?
Well, gosh, of course there is. But you know, a lot of it we could kind of gloss over in favor of just reminding everybody that this week is when you'll find out if you screwed up getting your site ready for mobile ready. And I wouldn't be bothering to check today. Like tomorrow would be a good day to look and see. And if you haven't obviously checked before, then you probably don't care now. Yahoo and MSN have renewed their search deal with new terms, which will allow Yahoo to serve whatever freaking ads they want to when people search on Yahoo on desktop, on Windows. So lots of people are wondering, are they going to hire Google? I think they've got an ad-serving platform, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw display ads on search results from Yahoo, because that's the only thing nobody's tried yet, and I would pay big money to get a display ad onto a search result if they would just let me do it.
Interesting.
I think Yahoo would like to have big money, so I'm thinking they must have some plan other than to just like run somebody else's search ads. We would hope.
Probably.
Marissa's like not completely crazy.
Oh, okay. Do we know this for a fact? Oh, let's see.
Okay.
All right, hang on.
We got a copy of Leslie over there now, it looks like. One of them's MBT and one of them's Marketers.
It's a clone.
That's what I can actually present.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately.
Mute one, maybe?
Yeah,
no, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm working on that.
That's great. We want to have Leslie's camera and presentation.
Echo, 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 echo.
There, I should have it now. Yeah, and so I couldn't get one computer to have sound at all, and I can't get the other one to stop having sound. That's brilliant. Okay, good. All right, we got that now. It's all fixed for now. Okay. So is that all that's news, Dan? Really? That's it? That's what we got?
That's what's burning my brain right now. There's probably other news, but you know, Google finally made the change to using breadcrumbs instead of URLs as the green display thing on SERPs. People are spending lots of time working themselves up over that, but you don't know what it's going to do until you wait and see what it does, and so I'm not going to spend a whole bunch of time trying to figure out what it's going to do, and I'll be able to measure that in a week.
Indeed, there's that. Ron is saying screen sharing looks good, but it's UTE version 2, week 2. That's an image from...
They're seeing last week's show.
How can they even see last week's show?
There's something about us, if we don't start on time, it starts playing the most recent Hangout. Yeah.
Oh, great. Oh, Jesus Christ.
The best part is they're watching a replay, but they can ask questions in this one.
What happens if they hit refresh?
They're somewhere else. We're over here.
Wow.
Okay.
That can't be true in them to have this.
Hey, Leslie, did you know that we have a GoToWebinar account?
I'd rather forget about it, but...
This is fantastic.
Let's ask somebody on staff to log in and see what's going on. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Who's got the? Where's the registration link? I think I have it. Hang on a second. Huh. I mean, but that would have happened last week and the week before, and this is the first time I've seen this. So I'm not buying that this is a built-in characteristic of a platform. I'm not buying that.
It's a feature.
Undocumented feature.
Let's see. I don't see Stephanie around. Let me see.
Hey, everybody in the chat. If you can hear me say hullabaloo, go ahead and put hullabaloo in the chat for me. Thanks.
We'll have to wait about 45 minutes for them to, 45 seconds rather, for them to get that.
Oh, Doug says he's getting this week's webinar.
Okay.
And Andy says I am here or somewhere else. So.
Okay, that's very existential, Andy.
And another Andy says if we are a slacker and have not fixed our site to meet mobile, then we should have the mantra better late than ever. So these are questions about what's here. And Terry's ragging you about finally being able to say my name. So these people are live with us here.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Unless they're prescient and they knew what we'd be talking about.
Hey, there you go. Andy says hello, Blue. There you go.
Yay, okay. We have confirmation.
Put on your show, Leslie. I think you had something planned for today besides screwing around with tech.
No, yeah, let's hope so. Oh, my God. Okay. All right, let's see if we can so now the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to actually play with presenting from my second computer, which that'll be really awesome. So let me see.
So today we get to experience you with multiple personality
right.
in order.
In order? Yeah, multiple personality in order. That's very clever, Michelle. Let's see. So I'm going to present.
I'm not just here for my good looks.
Oh, is that it? Okay. Well, gee, I thought that was it. But okay. Wow. There's more. Let's see. So then I want to over here. Then I want to. Whoa. You are presenting to everyone. Yeah. Can I do the share screen first? Share entire screen. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I can't avoid that, I guess. Okay, I can't avoid that. That's fine. And present from beginning. And let's see if it actually works. And allow that. Okay. So everyone should be seeing my full screen, my other full screen, right? The great lie of
last click.
And I know that's a little bit over the top, but we are marketers here, so I thought it sounded pretty cool. But anyway.
Well, you wouldn't want to be under the top. That would
no,
hurt probably.
Probably would. I'd probably stand up and bump my head. Okay, so let's what is the lie of the last click? I know inquiring minds want to know that. Now, sometimes there isn't. Maybe it's not a lie. Here's one of our clients, and this is not a lie. When you see an all-new time high in organic sourced revenue, yeah, that's actually true. You had an all-time high in organic sourced revenue. And here's another one where also a fairly new client started mid-January, and March over December numbers is 42.6% increase in organic sourced revenue. Those are in fact not lies, but that just doesn't mean that last click is always not a lie. GA reports what's called last interaction by default, and that's last click, let's say, right? So I click on a search result, I go check out, I spend money, and e-commerce and all that kind of stuff shows that as totally attributed to that last interaction, that click that occurred, right? Okay, cool. But is that always true? Well, no. In fact, most of the time, it's a lie. And so let's look at your funnel. So there's your funnel. Isn't that brilliant? That's what an engineer can do, graphic-wise. And so people go in on the wide end and they come out on the narrow end. And for you e-commerce people, that usually means that you're fighting out with your competitors like Amazon over price and shipping and all that stuff, right? Out on the wide part of the funnel, where, by the way, almost no big brands live and almost none of your competitors even attempted to be out there, is where you actually expose your brand for the first time, where people find your site for the first time, and where you can actually develop a relationship by engaging those people and establishing who you are as a brand by the messaging you use and by the, to the extent to which you provide free value, value for free before actually asking them to take an action themselves. Much the same thing that Dan and Michelle and Cornell do with free line content, right? And so all that stuff happens out there in the wide part of the funnel before we've ever asked anybody to pay us money. And by the way, that works very well. If you're not doing it, you need to. Last interaction is down there somewhere, where the person has decided, yes, that's what I want at that price, and these are the shipping terms, and boom, in we go. Now, of course, if you're lead gen, it's not like that exactly. It's filling out a form or whatever. Okay, cool. Or maybe it's picking up a phone call for you, attorneys and such. But first interaction is before that, generally speaking. Now, admittedly, the last interaction could also be the first interaction. That's the one and the done, right? The guy comes to your site or gal comes to your site. They press a button, they go woohoo, and check out. Boom. Sometimes that happens. Used to happen more often than not. Those of you who are still depending on that, you probably don't have much of a business, and you're wondering what the hell happened to it. Because what really happens, more often than ever before, but is always the case, is that the vast majority of the people you could plan on selling to probably touched your site more than one time, maybe half a dozen times. Now, there's some very high-end analytic tools that try to track the entire customer life cycle from first touch all the way to the end, and there have been some pretty interesting landmark studies written about that as to the extent to which people actually touch your website. And just like you've heard in sales from, oh God, from the very first sales book to the present, you're probably going to touch that prospect 6 times in order to get that sale. If you are familiar with what retailers do on dirt world, brick and mortar, right? They do things like billboards and radio ads and TV advertising, a whole bunch of non-trackable stuff that us e-commerce people laugh, or online commerce people laugh at. It's like that's non-trackable. They have no idea whether they're making any money with that advertising. Well, guess what? We're in the same boat. Welcome to the new world. The fact is that you really can't say with any specificity. Like, for example, in this example right here, so there's 4 touches I'm showing there. So the first interaction, and then 2 more, and then finally the last interaction, which creates the sales. Well, last would be the one where you got the sale. Well, which one of those was actually responsible for the sale? The last one, the first one, the ones in the middle? Well, we really can't say, can we? We'll get back to that. Now, in a search perspective, right, from the standpoint of search, by the way, long tail is out there in the wide part of the funnel. It's the informational stuff that they're doing. The short tail stuff is typically, is going to lead to something, pretty short tail. But not all the time, admittedly. I mean, particularly if you're smart enough on your long tail stuff to have a call to action on the right rail, for example. So let's look at how we can use Google Analytics to look at the interaction between first interaction and last interaction, and, oh, by the way, the things in between. And we can show this live here in just a moment so you can see how this actually works. But in Google Analytics, over on the left-hand side in the map here, you go all the way to the bottom of conversions. Now, it's interesting that it's all the way in the bottom. Even the guys at Google probably understand that most of you don't actually live down there very often, which is a mistake. Conversion and the goals in e-commerce and attribution sections is probably the more important place for you to be spending your time. But that's a rant for another day. So we want to open up conversions, attribution, and model comparison. That's going to then we can select the model. Now, last interaction is selected by default, but we can also add first interaction to it. And we'll get to the others here in just a bit. We also want to select conversions and value. If you're looking at CPA or return on ad spend, okay, that's great. That's some things Dan, of course, does that a little bit with our AdWords clients. But for example today, I guess I have a couple examples in this deck. We're going to use conversions and the total value of those conversions, right? So it's not conversion value; it's the total value of the conversions, or the value of all the conversions taken together. Well, so if you do this and what we do is we're doing an annual, comparison here. So, for example, this is one of our organic service clients or content marketing clients, and you can see here that we're comparing September of 2014 to September of 2013. And this site was down year over year just because of stuff happening earlier in the year, and so just the total number of conversions and the conversion value was quite a ways off on both last interaction and first interaction as we first got involved with this client. September is really the baseline. October was the first month of service. Well, then you can see that it changes month on month. So as we look at October year over year, November year over year, and then finally December year over year, and this particular client has a very big December. you can see that those numbers improve until finally they go green. Green good, red bad, in case you're wondering how that color scheme works. Well, but notice those numbers are very, very different. First interaction versus last interaction. So what is the difference here and why, and what does the difference in those numbers mean? Let's look at last interaction first. This is just the kind of the raw, naive reporting of improvement in the business. So year over year in September it was down 20, then it was down 36, then down 27, and then finally it was up 6.5%. And so in real terms, okay, so if we look at it, well, we made a 6.5% improvement in the guy's business, year over year, right? Well, yeah, although that's the most conservative statement of the success that was actually achieved here. The reality is, if you look in first interaction, you're seeing a little bit different picture. And what you'll find is, in general, there's some exceptions, but in general, your first interaction numbers are going to improve sooner and bigger than your last interaction, because it takes into account that first touch. It's attributing, what was my first touch? How did I actually get initial contact with that customer? Because that is going to drive the rest of what's going on downstream, whether it's PPC or Facebook or whether it ends up in direct, which we'll talk about. By engaging the customer early, we increase the probability that we're going to ultimately sell them in one of our channels. All right, and so first interaction you're typically going to see grow sooner and faster than the last interaction. Now, and in fact, Dan, maybe you can chime in here about what this person's experience was, because I know that a large part of their marketing effort is in AdWords. So this big increase in first interaction, were you able to see that baked into the numbers in AdWords in terms of lower ad spend?
Actually, this one is not somebody that we're running AdWords for.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, so that's one where the conversion numbers just aren't there, and it was kind of too late in the season to start conversion testing when we got involved. So we're hoping to be able to run AdWords next season. But we see this a lot in AdWords accounts, though, where a lot of them lead generation type stuff, and stuff where it's just a quick purchase. We'll see heavily more is going to be in the last interaction, and the first interaction isn't that big of a deal. But we also have a number of clients that sell things that cost thousands of dollars and that need to be installed. And in those cases, the first time they meet you is not when they buy. And so we do want to be out there on kind of the long tail on some of the more informational queries and starting to get people framing how people think about stuff. And for those, we see a lot more of the numbers between first interaction and last interaction. It might be 10 to 1 in terms of the amounts that shows up under first interaction. Well, with AdWords, we use the last AdWords click also as another way to look at it. But when we see those big variances, that also is a case where it tells us that we want to be running remarketing campaigns, and those are actually something that we can actually set up fairly easily nowadays with Google. We can set up dynamic remarketing ads where you don't even have to make ad creatives. Google can actually gives you a builder to make them fairly quickly and easily. And for retailers, it's great because you can actually show people the products that they were looking at. For example, if you've got Universal Analytics and all that stuff working. But that was a much longer side trip than you probably wanted, Leslie. But yeah, I mean, it does matter in AdWords, and it really depends a lot on the market how heavily we have to lean on the first interaction numbers, or what they call over on the AdWords site, assisted conversions, to really understand which ads are working the best and which keywords and where we should raise bids and lower bids.
Yep, and those were good digressions, though, because we'll come back to some of those. But indeed, so if you have high first interaction number, if you can increase first interaction by getting out there in the wide part of the funnel, remarketing works so much tremendously better. There's also, you'll find some things around the internet these days about like the new SEO, and SEO is no longer dead. It's actually still alive, but it's changed. Well, I mean, it's actually, you want to be looking in first interaction. The fact of the matter is that we are more and more online, just like the offline folks, and that we have to do these multiple touches. Pretty much everything we have is now a billboard on the highway. Now, it'd be better if it was informational as opposed to just a pitch. Doing the pitch over and over again is not what you want. Look at what Nike does. They have a billboard with a woman running in the rain, and there's no text on it, on the billboard at all. So all they're doing is attracting their avatar, saying, hey, look here, this is who we're selling to, and they put a Nike swoosh in the bottom. You see those all the time in Portland when I lived there. And so this is an example of just a brand impression over and over again. Now, it's admittedly not very informational, but on the other hand, it works in an offline context just to do, just do that brand impression. For those of us who are not quite as well known yet as Nike, okay, fine, but informational marketing and what is now, people are calling native advertising, where instead of sending traffic to a landing page that's an outright, kind of a direct response ad, instead sending it to a blog post that's informational, right? That's working incredibly well, and we'll come back to that in just a moment as to how you fuel that.
And universal traffic engine, I mean, that's a lot of what we're doing with Facebook, for example, is we're doing low cost, way up toward the top of the funnel advertising just to engage with people and figure out who might be interested in our offer. And then the people that have clicked and read those stories, we can be a lot more aggressive with pursuing our offers, but we also are more successful that way because we have warmed it up, and we have, they've seen us multiple times and they've liked what they've seen from us, and that's a very different thing from coming at them cold and yelling sale, sale, sale.
Indeed, yeah. So let's move on a little bit and talk about, some of the finer points here. Here's one more example of last versus first. This particular one is a very, very nice example, and it's a what we call a tier one market, and I mean this was a tremendous win right straight out of the gate. Essentially, the only month where we weren't making a change was in the first month, and maybe this is an outlier in some sense. I mean, I would normally expect that to be in month 3 as opposed to month 2, where things really, really hockey stick, but. Is that hockey stopped? No, anyway. So anyway, but this one, when you get a graph like this is really encouraging. But notice if you were only looking at last interaction here, you wouldn't really have declared a win really until your December numbers. However, in November, you can tell that things are pointing in the right direction just from looking at first interaction. So what is the correct model? And we actually had this, our good friend, private client, and actually service client as well, Eric, asked this on one of our coaching calls. Oh gosh, probably a year and a half ago, and we got into heated debate about models. Well, okay, I have two answers to this question. What is the correct model? And both answers are equally true, and so you can begin to feel the setup coming. And so the first is that all models are true. Right? Sometimes it's the last AdWords click. That's the one that really drove the person to do the purchase. Sometimes with linear, and this every time they saw you, they got more and more likely to buy, and finally they just gave up and they bought because you were everywhere. Or sometimes it was one of those at one end of the spectrum was even more important than others. Maybe it was the first one, maybe it was the last one. Right? All of those are true some of the time, but none of them are true all of the time. That's the problem. No model is true all the time for all visitors. We don't know which one actually convinced the person. All we know is that there was an accumulation of touches, and they finally bought. But why? So when you say, well, the last interaction was obviously the one that caused them to buy, yes, but they may have decided to buy and then found you again in your AdWords, typed it in direct, or remembered how they searched for you, and their browser showed that was a visited link, and they clicked on it and bought. But they'd already decided. The last interaction may not be how they decided. It's just the only thing that we have connected directly to the sale. So what's the correct answer? Well, there isn't one. All models are useful all the time, but no model is true all the time.
There are useful examples in AdWords all the time where we see, when we actually unpack what's underneath the last interaction revenues, it's the brand search. Right? They didn't just make up your brand name and type it into a search engine. They heard about you somewhere. And when we look at the first interaction number being, significantly larger than that last interaction number already, we know, right? They've searched multiple times in a lot of cases. We've got one client where the second highest volume path to conversion involves 3 paid searches and then actually hits direct before they buy. And so that's the most revenue that they have that we can attribute to starting in any channel involves 3 paid searches before they actually convert it.
Yeah,
It is what it is, but the models all help you kind of understand what's going on, and that lets you know where you should focus your efforts, top of the funnel, bottom of the funnel, stuff like that.
Indeed. And it proves to you where your different kinds of marketing is actually a benefit, right? So you look at first interaction organic, what are the diagrams I showed. Great. Well, look at first interaction on some referral sources or something like that, or look at how your remarketing is performing, right? All of those things are going to help you make decisions about the marketing activities you are doing and what leverage they provide, because they are all synergistic, and that's the other thing that needs to be understood. Now, on a related matter, don't get. Yeah, go ahead before I go on with this.
I was going to say, I mean, I have a live example of this week. I've seen an ad on Facebook for months for something called Plated, and I've seen it for months and wasn't interested. Didn't have anything to do with me. I didn't believe what they had. Went back. They had a television commercial last week. Now I actually understand what they sell. But I'm not going to go back to Facebook to look for them. I'm going exactly what Dan just said. I'm going to go to Google, and I'm going to Google them, or I'm going to go straight to their website. And they've never seen me before. I've never clicked on an ad. I've never liked anything they've done. I've never been anywhere. Now I'm just poof, I'm here. Well, how did I get there? You know, and so people don't really have that concept that this is happening, but it's real live. We do this. This is it. You know, so.
That TV remarketing.
And way back in the day.
I was in a hotel in another state. That's even crazier. So.
Wow, how did they follow you there, Michelle? That's pretty scary, actually. Yeah.
It's probably that chip they made.
If you find out, let us know. We'd like to do that.
That red pill or blue pill.
That was it. Way back in the day, back when Google gave us keyword data. Remember that? Don't get me started. Control. I had a client that actually was using some high-end analytics package. And what they were tracking was the myth. I mean, I knew it was a myth, but Glenn wasn't certain at the time. That direct search traffic. Brand had direct search traffic. That's bizarre. Branded search traffic was more valuable than non-brand. It's like, well, I don't believe that, but sure, okay, go for it. I understand that when you look at Google Analytics and it's raw state, that's what it says, but I don't believe it.
That's one of those buts.
Yeah, and so yes, it's more valuable in terms of last interaction attribution, but the problem with that is, like Michelle said, how did that person, how did they find my domain name? How did they find my brand name? It's because they saw me in search previously, and so and in that analytics package, he could actually watch the real flow, and we can do that now in analytics for it come to that, but. So you can see that if this person is touching them with multiple long-tail and short-tail search terms organically, be a branded search and going in and completing a transaction. Same kind of thing is happening here. I mean, what Michelle was getting impressions wasn't even interacting with them, and so what she's going to show up in their in their analytics as a first click equal last click direct. The interaction. It's like, wow, okay, that's just magical, right? How did that happen from offline advertising is how that happens. That said, not all direct is actually direct, because attribution is a lie too, sometimes, usually only with direct, and that is because of HTTPS washing out the referrer when it goes to HTTP. So now we're still running this experiment, but we'll see if we can ever actually reach a conclusion on it. But all of the major traffic sources at this point, except your good referrals, right, are HTTPS. Google is HTTPS, Twitter, Facebook, all of them are HTTPS. And so when you place a link that's HTTP, what the browser is supposed to do by standard is it strips the referrer. And so when I go to Google and I hit a search result in my browser strips google.com as a referrer and sends me to that website. Now, Actually, there's something even more nefarious and tricky going on at Google, by the way, so that they could overcome this. They wanted to, but don't get me on that rant either. Facebook and Twitter are the same way, although they aren't using the same complicated tracking mechanism that Google is, but the HTTPS problem still applies. Now, okay, so why are we seeing any Facebook referral traffic at all? Well, it's probably largely mobile. Because mobile browsers, because they're very small footprint and relatively primitive, don't strip refer in general. I think there may be some exceptions to that too, by the way. So, it's attribution, bear in mind, you're going to have a mess. Now, everybody makes this mistake, so I'll pick on Ezra. I mean, he just posted a brilliant case study over on Digital Marketer. And he makes the assertion that what he was doing with Pinterest was actually driving direct. It probably wasn't, by the way, or at least not significantly. Yes, it could very well be that what he was doing over on Pinterest, somebody, and as he says, remembered my domain name and typed it in. Yeah, possible, but more likely than not, he was looking at the attribution problem that direct has. It's likely that some of that direct traffic was actually Pinterest traffic. So just bear that in mind, and when you're doing a bunch of marketing out there, you're going to see this big uptrend in direct traffic. It's probably not all direct, so just be aware of that. And then, what are the takeaways? So they're few in number, but they're fairly significant. So first of all, nearly all conversion is assisted. It's rare that you get a situation where somebody discovers you for the first time in whatever channel you're in and makes a purchase or gives you a lead. That's extremely
that happens
rare.
in search. That happens in paid search. That happens in organic search to a lesser degree because Google sends more traffic to paid search than to organic search, at least on the stuff that's commercially relevant and going to convert right away. But all of your other channels add up to more, and depending on how much you do in paid search, you might be able to say that's not true for this particular business, but in general, I think that the statement is absolutely true.
Yeah, and it's because people require multiple touches, particularly in today's environment where, let's face it, nobody really has. I mean, very few people really have a unique position or a unique product in the marketplace. You are going to have competitors, and people know this. They're going to look around. People are very, very good at doing research on the web these days. The other thing is channels are synergistic, and so I mean we'll see this a lot where you're getting. And it used to be we got a lot more better visibility about this back when we had keywords. God, control. And so you would see that the revenue you got from organic, right? And then you would add pay-per-click. And let's say you even hit the top 2 or 3 spots, right? You would see that your organic improved. Like, what the hell is that about, right? How can pay-per-click actually assist organic in a sense that it would increase the last click revenue from organic? It seems like wouldn't it take some of it away? No, it doesn't. And we've talked about whether it's brand or whether it's reputation building or what the heck. I mean, who knows? But what you're going to find is whenever you are working in a channel, if you add a channel, it probably improves all the others. And if you decide that this channel is underperforming and you take it away, you probably see the others depressed. So be very, very careful about how you allocate to channels, or in particular, decide you don't need a channel. The reality is that there's almost no channel you could name where you don't have some prospects, and they're all synergistic. And so by using the attribution models, you can find out, hey, is this channel actually assisting in my ultimate conversions? And that's an incredibly key takeaway.
Yeah, Leslie, just one of the, when we were in Las Vegas, whatever, a year and a half ago, at our last live event, I had a guy follow me onto the elevator, which really wasn't cool, but wanted me to talk about how to evaluate the performance of their Facebook campaigns. So, he had signed up at the time that we were doing the doing AdWords training, and we were doing Facebook training at the same time, and he kind of got them both up and running at the same time. Facebook kind of was floating along at what looked like break even on, obviously on last interaction basis, and AdWords just kept getting better and better and better. And so he was thinking, well, why don't I, shut down Facebook and pour more money into AdWords? Well, I gave him a card, said, let's make an appointment to talk about this when I'm not trying to go do something in, in the euphemism upstairs. But never got in touch with me, and I was cleaning out analytics, and this is one of the accounts that I was taken out of there. But going and looking at it, you could see his AdWords performance just kind of dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping in the months following, and the Facebook had just dropped off a cliff because he'd shut it off. Well, when we actually, you actually dive in and start looking, it turned out that what he'd been doing with Facebook was it was steadily month over month over month over month increasing the number of brand searches that he was getting in AdWords, which were converting great. And so what happened was that he stopped getting his brand in front of people through break-even advertising on Facebook, and people stopped searching for the brand. And you saw it go down and down and down and down. Well, I had to find out. So he was in Infusionsoft, so I gave him a call. Well, he shut the thing down. He's happy now. He's got a job. He's really happy that he's not doing this complicated internet marketing stuff anymore. And so I feel good for him. And I didn't bother to tell him that you could have kept that thing going if you just hadn't turned off Facebook. But it really, it can lead you to some really bad places not to even be looking at the full picture. And the only way to do that is to look at the different what the different attribution models tell you. It's you might think, well, it's just okay, it's so I can feel better about. No, this is so you can actually make important decisions about how to drive your business and allocate resources.
Indeed, yeah, indeed it is. Because again, looking only at the last click is going to completely misguide you, generally speaking.
Yeah, and if you'd have looked at Facebook on a first click basis, he would have not stopped running it in the first place. But it was driving his AdWords performance.
Yep. Yeah, not the only place we see that. That's true. Yeah, indeed. And so be everywhere. It's what Paul Collier, good friend Paul Colligan says, is yacht. I've seen you out there. And you want to be in all channels. And some channels are going to look, better than others on last click. We get that, cool. But you want to make sure that you're comparing how those are actually operating together and the the potential synergies that they're getting. Because a person can discover you in Pinterest or Facebook or whatever and end up purchasing in a different channel. So don't discount those. Make sure that you're actually looking at the way that channel is contributing, not just on a last click basis.
But for all of your paid channels, you want to be trying to target and focus so that you're in all channels to the same group of people. It might be a very small group of people. You might only be able to afford to look like a big brand to a few hundred people this week, right? But in a couple of months of doing that, then it'll be 1,000 people, and then it'll be thousands of people. And once you've got thousands of people that actually know and care about your brand, you have a huge advantage over everybody else in the marketplace that isn't actually a bigger brand than you.
We did that. We did that with local. So we'd market nationally. We're putting out content. There's no way to control that. But as soon as we could get into Google remarketing and Facebook remarketing, we could hone that in to our own city or our own state. So we were only showing up over and over again to people that were in our local area.
Target market.
Yeah, and it worked great.
Yeah, and we get that a lot, Corey, right? You and I've talked about this. That some of our customers and students have said, well, I really understand your strategy and stuff. I understand why it would work nationally, but I don't see how it would work for a local business, right? And that's not the first time we've gotten that response, is it?
No, we've heard that a few times.
Yeah. And the reality is, and this is where we can, like I said, this is a shameless plug, but you notice that the only kind of advertising that really works out in the wide part of the funnel, more definitionally, is what people are calling native ads, or informational content, okay? And it depends on content. Well, content doesn't mean, the 3 lines you get in an AdWords ad. It doesn't mean the 20% of a picture you get to actually put text on a Facebook ad. It means something that's like a blog post, call it 100 words, maybe it's longer, maybe it's an infographic, whatever. It's something that's of interest to the prospects that you're targeting, people that you'd like to have become customers. And you're after the first interaction. As Dan was pointing out, you know, that those first interactions and those other channels are going to amplify, are going to leverage the spend you have going on in remarketing or any of the paid platforms. But it all starts with content. So if you're not actually building content over a period of time, you're really falling behind. And there's a prospect that we're talking to right now. He's been in basically in steady decline since 2009, and he says, "Oh, I'm pretty sure I have a penalty." It's like, yeah, you know, I'm not seeing that. There's been no month where I can show a 30 to 50% downdraft in Google traffic. What I can show is it's more or less a linear decline in his business. And sure enough, he's in a financial market. And he's got 650 pages on his website. Well, okay, let's think about that. 600-page website 7 years ago. Yeah, maybe you could compete. Not today. I mean, give it a rest. A 500, in a financial, really? 600-page website? No. It's just not big enough, and it's not just that. Oh, well, you don't have a page rank. I mean, yes, okay, that's kind of dealing with the short end. It's really that he's just not marketing. He's not attracting people in the wide end of the funnel, and so sure enough, he's steadily declined over the years. So you have to have a content plan. You absolutely have to do that in order to make all of this work. There's no sense even thinking about improving first interaction if all you've got is ads and a 5-page website. There's no content. What is the first interaction going to look like? It's going to look like an ad. Well, once they've seen it once, it's unlikely that you're really going to, get them a second time. So if you're interested in how to actually increase your presence, your brand, your following out there in the front end of the funnel so that it improves everything else downstream, then by all means, you should talk to me. If you mail me at LesliePlusSEO@marketersbraintrust.com, I'll send you some resources for you to take a look at and invite you to a phone call if those are of interest to you, so that you can figure out how we actually got the results that I showed in this this short presentation, and why it works and why it's always going to work as long as there's a Google. So with that, we could farm the comments, questions, and go through that, and then open it for round robin among the panel of experts. So, guys, you got anything to add to this while we look through the questions?
Just if you can look at year over year, that's best. And if for some reason you don't have analytics from last year, you can try to compare period over period. As long as there's not some huge seasonality effect in the middle there. But if you don't have year over year, don't think all is lost. You can still start looking at this stuff. And
yeah, and that's a good point. I mean, Corey, you just had an example of that today, I guess, where you had a conversation with one of our clients who, and this is one of the things I've been talking to people about, is that you could have a working SEO strategy you do not know it's working, because you were looking only at last click interaction and not the impact it really has on your entire funnel. And I think that was the case in talking to Tim today, correct?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was part of it. I mean, his analytics went down for a couple months because it was a Yahoo shopping cart issue, and so, and then there was an issue with it last year. So, but yeah, I mean, the numbers look really, really good. It's just, they look even better comparing it to last year because there are no numbers last year. But that's
true. Infinity is a good, it's a good ratio. It's in the right direction.
Improvement over infinity the wrong way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if you're dividing by 0, I don't think you can actually count that.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Probably not. But yeah, but period over period, and Corey and I chatted about this a little, a bit before this call, and what I was able to figure out, I mean, Corey, I'm sure you looked the same thing. There was not a significant seasonal adjustment that had to be made. So the 2 periods you were comparing, kind of before our service and then following, it was completely legitimate. I'd stand by that. And we'll probably actually show that case study here in the next week or two.
The other thing that I was talking with, I think it was Phil, and talking about the SEO and how you don't necessarily see huge increases in traffic. And I think a lot of that has to do with, you're not just 2008, 2009, 2010 SEO was, I need more traffic. And when you start getting this traffic where it's the same person coming back time and time again, they start purchasing because they know, like, and trust you more. and that wasn't always the attribution in 2008. It was just like shove way more people in the funnel, so I need my traffic numbers to double for my sale to double.
Right, because we're not going to work on conversion.
Right.
No. It's going to get more free traffic.
Why would we want to increase our revenue by 100% or 500%? Why would we want to mess with that?
Yeah. Well, conversion is such a long word. It's kind of hard to spell, whereas SEO is really simple. So I think we should go with the simple word. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So
and so I mean, but that's a really good point, right? So we're not seeing like massive traffic increases, but we're seeing significant, significant increased sales. And so what that's really saying is all those touches are actually more efficient, right? I mean, that's the only conclusion I can come to.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, and I have to tell you, Leslie, and this was one I showed Dan last night, and it may be worth looking into further. And I don't know if I have a setup problem working with a client, but they sell on a very popular cart, but they also offer, aside from regular checkout, they offer PayPal checkout. And so for a while now, I've been really excited about the results. Their Facebook's been doing good, but it just seemed like it wasn't quite right. And so I started digging down into the e-commerce and the model comparison and all that stuff yesterday, and actually under the e-commerce pulled it up by source and medium. And of the 8 sales yesterday, 7 of them were contributed to the idea that they came from PayPal. And
well, that's the last click, so that makes perfect sense.
That's the last click. Yeah. And
PayPal is generating sales, not taking them.
And so 80% of their orders for the day yesterday are attributed not to any of the campaigns at all that were properly UTM'd and all that stuff. And so it makes for a whole nother problem. So.
Yeah,
not that just using PayPal could be really hurting your business, but just using PayPal could be really hurting.
Really hurting your business.
Not because people don't buy with it, but because that's how you end up measuring it.
That's the new. I think we're doing a webinar on that. PayPal secrets revealed.
I think we should. Yeah. How do you get traffic?
All you have to do is open a PayPal account and they'll just start sending you sales. Look at this client.
Exactly. So,
we did all this Facebook advertising, doing a darn bit of good, but then PayPal sent us free money.
That's amazing.
So that was a lot of fun to discover that, and I don't know if we've got something wrong in the settings or what, but when you're sitting down with the client and you're trying to say, well, look at this, and then you pull this up and you're like, well, that's really interesting, isn't it? So yeah, just have a PayPal account. Let's sell more stuff.
Yeah, I think that would be the best. I'm still trying to figure out how that would actually work, but yeah, we'll see what we can do there. Rick,
the funny thing is the sales that PayPal actually does generate, and they do a little bit. I mean, if you're big enough, they actually do have a marketplace where people can search for stuff, and somebody must use it, right? Those would be lumped into the same thing, so you wouldn't even be able to know which ones of those Facebook might have miraculously actually generated for you, and which ones came from somewhere else.
Right.
Indeed.
So hey guys, I want to try and call a little bit of an audible here, if we can spare a few minutes to tease what I want to present next week.
Sure. Okay. Great. You want the screen?
Yeah, I need you to make me the presenter person.
Yeah.
This is extra bonus stuff just for showing up for the Hangout.
Yeah, exactly. Which is already a bonus.
Okay, here I go. I'm going to screen share. This is going to be awesome.
I'm sure it will be.
To infinity and beyond.
Beyond.
And then we go like this.
Whoops, oh shoot, hang on. I just undid what I just did. No, I didn't.
No,
Oh, there it is. Okay. UTE Playbook Introduction.
Yes. So this is part of the Universal Traffic 2.0, the new version, the update that we're working on, and the students actually haven't seen the finished packaged product of this because I've got to fix the audio on one section before I ship it out today. But what we've been doing here is, with UTE, it's a lot of Facebook advertising, and it's a lot of combining Facebook and other channels, right? Remarketing and getting your search in, getting your Pinterest, your Twitters, your email in, and so we've been trying to come up with a better way to kind of to to teach this, but also two, to give people functional tools that they can do it. And so what we've been doing is breaking it down into as much as we can into step-by-step processes. And so essentially I'm trying to come up with a better visual language for describing what we do. So
so you ended up starting with laundry?
So when we have something that is tactical, what you would refer to in the grown-up world as a procedure, right? It's a set of steps that get taken. We represent those with a single color, so that when we do stuff that is strategic, and talk about funnels and strategic stuff, we can show that in brilliant, vivid rainbow color, and that helps us describe not just processes but also cycles. Like, for example, just a campaign planning cycle. So we might measure the current state of things, we'll analyze that, we'll make a plan to improve the results, we'll execute that, and then we go back to measuring and do the whole thing all over again. And so the one that I'd like to show people next week is actually what we call a Facebook amplification campaign, and what the purpose of that is, when we're getting ready to send an email, we can actually send that email out and then amplify that email on Facebook. Now there are actually more things that you might want to do before and after, and we'll get a chance to talk about those next week. But what I want to do next week is walk people through the setup, and not just of a Facebook amplification campaign, but next week we'll actually be able to show them a Facebook amplification campaign that we set up and ran for the marketer's Braintrust, pointing to Leslie's video about the content marketing process that we use. Really, you could say we use it as how we do SEO, or you can say that it's really a replacement for SEO, in that we've kind of gone full circle back to before Google made anchor text such a big thing on people, that what you really have to do is build an audience, and it's really more audience building than it is anything else. But it's really just doing what marketing you would have been doing if search engines and SEO had never been an option. So that's what I'm going to be talking about next week, is actually how to run a Facebook amplification campaign, and we'll show you some of the results from some of our other clients and students that have run these. But it's a no-brainer to do these. There's a lot of tech and a lot of decisions and analysis that you have to do. But if you can pull that off, or get somebody to do it for you, it's ridiculous the kind of difference it can make in the financial performance that you get out of your Facebook campaign. So if you send email, and sending email makes you even a little bit of money, you want to tune in next week and see how you can amplify that and maybe even double it and triple it.
All right. Well, that's a good tease. Yeah. Okay. Good deal.
And that's all I've got to say about that till next week.
That's right. You have to tune in or miss out. That's what I got.
So now you have to make me not the presenter, and I think you have to make me not the presenter twice.
Yes, that's been my experience. Yes, it requires more than the one time.
Hangouts is so nice, you have to do something twice.
No, actually, it worked the first time. Maybe they actually fixed that bug. They didn't fix the other bug we have.
Okay.
Oh well, they fixed that one apparently. Yeah, I know, right? Coolness. Well, I know. I mean, everybody here actually uses Facebook. Well, except me. I don't use Facebook. I have people, but in terms of the amplification process, I mean, Corey, we do that as a standard part of our content marketing. Well, in a variation, not exactly what Dan is talking about. And maybe that's one of the things that needs to be surfaced here. Is there are a bunch of different ways to use Facebook amplification. And I mean the things that you get
and actually, Leslie, we refer to that in UTE as an audience building campaign. So it's a different type of campaign, but it's all related and it all fits together.
Indeed, yeah. But I mean, so your standard process. I mean, do you want to say a couple words about the standard process that you use in our team for content marketing, Corey?
Yeah. So what we do is, because we're posting content on a daily basis, we pick one of the better posts, make sure it's formatted properly for Facebook in terms of images and the right image size and everything like that. And then we do what Dan calls a boosty boost, and I love that term. basically, we take that post and we attribute a daily budget to it, and we run it for 7 days. And we go out to targeted audiences outside of both the fan page and their own, if they have a custom audience like an email list. We do targeted, like interest targeting and behavior targeting and demographic targeting, and that all of that is outside of their existing clientele and existing people, so that as this content proliferates the web or Facebook, it's going to people that they're not already connected with even more. So they get likes, they get shares, they get comments, they get clicks to the website, and then if they get clicks to the website, that can help start building their remarketing campaigns and building that audience, so that improves their branding, and that is yacht effect all over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean the numbers we get from that, I mean it's like 10x or better in terms of the reach when we spend a little money on Facebook, right?
Yeah, the reach goes through the roof. The shares, comments, likes, and clicks, it's sometimes they're insanely good, like 8-cent clicks, 10-cent clicks. Sometimes they're higher than that, which is a bummer. And it's hard to attribute a pattern to that unless something really stands out. But in terms of impressions, reach, interaction, those all can be really, really good for not a ton of money.
Right.
Well, I mean, this is something that we were doing with some clients that were willing to put some budget into it before, and then in December we kind of decided, look, we want to do this for everybody because it makes a huge difference in the outcome, not just in the traffic you generate in the short term, but the long term growth. If you want to see that hockey stick spike faster, there should be a paid amplification component to your content marketing and SEO for sure. Which is kind of ironic because some of these people that are listening to me right now just got done cleaning up a penalty from buying links, and now we're telling them, well, just buy attention. That's perfectly okay, and it is, right? I mean, it's just natural marketing that gets people interested and engaged with you is kind of the one form of advantage that Google can't take away from you.
Indeed, that's true.
They
Michelle,
can't punish you for people liking you.
Yeah, not yet. So, Michelle, do you have anything to add concerning Facebook paid promotions? I know it's kind of between that and AdWords, it's basically how you spend the hours of your day.
Yeah, my friends are like, you're never on Facebook anymore, and I'm like, well, I'm really on Facebook all the time. I'm just working now.
I don't say hi after
office instead of posting.
I don't have time to actually post anything for myself because between all of us, I'm managing 15 or 20 different accounts, and so I feel like I'm there all day, every day. One of the things that we're watching, and if you're in our Skype chat, a member posted about problems with getting Facebook to use up inventory, and so or to use up your budget. And so I'm seeing that now. I'm testing an audience 3 ways, and this is the 3rd test. And as of 12 hours into the test, the results are still dismal. That we were talking about this yesterday. I had a daily opportunity budget of $250, and yesterday I spent 9 cents. And the day before,
every reason to believe that there's way more than that available, right? It's not something
absolutely.
You're trying to bid on
We had more available, and so Corey and I were talking about it, and I'm gonna play with some more, but I was gonna let this test run for 2 days, but I think I'm gonna call an audible, and because now officially I've used, as of today, $3 out of 65 on one campaign, and we're only 8 hours left in the day. And so it could possibly be something to do with the way that the way that Facebook is pulling the audience itself. And so, I forgot my camera wasn't on. Sorry, guys. And so, so the way they're pulling the audience themselves, and so because we do have some ads that are running for sidebar ads as well as newsfeed ads, potentially Facebook is just grabbing the audience for whichever one is perceived to be the best optimization and killing the other one and cannibalizing it. That's Corey's word, and I like that. And so we're going to run some tests starting a little later tonight and just turn off one of the set of the ads that's running to the same group. And so there is this whole sort of challenge right now with getting Facebook to spend my money.
Are you? So have we run that one on OCPM yet? Optimize CPM?
It started Optimize CPM today. It started at 3 a.m.
Okay, so if that doesn't make a difference, because that's basically Facebook, go ahead and spend my money however you want to, but please spend my freaking money. If that doesn't make a difference, then I think we got to start troubleshooting the audience and targeting and figure out what's common between all these cases, because this is a fairly new effect.
It is a new effect, and not only is it optimize CPM, I went in and where they tell us how much you'd like to spend at the most for CPM, I doubled whatever their top number was.
Yes, I mean, you're setting yourself up. I mean, geez, I mean, it seems like they should just, oh, hey, we've got a live one.
So like they wanted $1, they wanted $1.85 for the CPM, so I bid $3.70 or whatever it was.
Yeah, the funny thing is, I mean, Facebook has, and a lot of people know this already, but Facebook has kind of had a weakness for a long time, where if you wanted to get super cheap clicks or super cheap video views, particularly people have been exploiting this for video ads, you run a $20 budget and you get penny views, and if you had a $200 budget, you'd get 20-cent views. And so a lot of people have been exploiting that. So this may be Facebook finally kind of cracking down on that and having some unintended side effects on others. And I wonder if would they spend $300 if your budget was $300, but they won't spend $30 because it's only $30, and they think you might be trying to cheat them. I don't know. But
I've even upped it at one point in one of the test days. We upped the budget to 15x greater than our intended and preferred spend, just to get it close to what we wanted to spend for that day, which is frightening as all get out, because what if they turn it back on?
Yeah, what if we crank the budget up and we get 8 clicks for $100 each?
Yeah, so it's very but it's not for the faint of heart, and it's one of the things I think that's great when we're working directly with clients here, because we have the ability and we have the exposure to what's happening across many campaigns, and we're able to test. And fortunately, this is a client that just wants to test stuff, which is great because that's what we're doing. So,
Yeah. All right. Well, that's excellent. So Dan, you've got the presenter's baton next week about some UTE stuff, and Michelle, maybe as kind of a follow-on to that, maybe a couple of weeks from now, who knows, might even have data enough to I don't know, give an answer what the hell's going on here, right?
Let's see if we can figure it out. I'm not a $5 million a month spender on Facebook, so I don't get to just call them. So there's that.
Yeah, we had once upon a time.
You should work on that.
We had once upon a time a phone number. Maybe we can actually recover. By the way.
Okay.
The problem with a lot of that is they move people around inside Facebook.
Yeah, the person that you used to know had a new job 3 weeks later. So.
Yeah. They are getting much better with their back-end support, their chat support. Some people, not all accounts yet, have live chat support. So they're rolling that out, I think. They're really positioning themselves to be a huge platform with support and access and I think and partner programs. If you're not doing Facebook now, you're missing out, because it's the bigger they get, the more expensive it's going to be.
Yeah.
And it's a phenomenal platform.
Yeah, I mean, right now, and I think we've got about an 18-month window, but right now is obviously the greatest opportunity that you have as a business to, or if you're working for clients, to help the businesses you're working with establish and actually carve out some space in the new world that's being created, and some space that they can actually defend, because they own the audiences and they own all the campaigns and all the funnels, and so something that can't be taken away from you, like organic. It continues to be taken away. Even if you rank well, expect to get less traffic from that ranking next year than you got this year, because Google's going to put more product listing ads. Yahoo's, I bet you, going to start putting display ads on search. I'm just saying. And if Yahoo does that and makes a bunch of money, Google will monkey do, as they say.
Well, yeah, and by the way, I bet a year from now we'll be having the same conversation about Pinterest. Just saying.
Well, and we already know people that we're working with that are doing crazy stuff with Pinterest, and some of them I'm afraid to even talk about because of how much a killing they're making, and I'll let them decide if they want to talk about it to more than us. But yeah, I mean, Pinterest ads is right now cheap. I think that inventory is going to get oversold pretty quickly. They're going to have to find the limits of how much advertising their channel can take without losing users, because I think Twitter went a little bit overboard on that early on and has pulled back. But Pinterest is definitely a channel of opportunity. It's also one that fits like hand in glove with Facebook and email and everything else that you do. I mean, Instagram and Pinterest and Facebook, it's almost one channel when you use them all together.
Dan, are you suggesting integrated planned marketing? What?
No, of course not. I think we should look at everything as separate silos that don't have any interaction with each other, even though that's completely denying all reality. Yeah. And also basically making the presentation Leslie gave today pointless, because
pretty much, so much for synergy.
We're not even going to bother to look at attribution models and try and understand how all of our marketing fits together, because, I mean, why would you want to do that?
All your sales come from PayPal anyway.
That's right.
Exactly. I mean, I get 99% of my money from PayPal. I don't need all this marketing stuff.
Marketing.
Yeah, the new ebook. Yeah, let me put the $27 ebook out there that I buy tomorrow.
Last attribution secrets.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about the PayPal traffic model.
Yeah. Just get an account.
Yeah, just sell stuff and traffic will come from PayPal.
It's amazing. To your thank you page. Great.
One more. We talked about it on the Hangout a couple weeks ago, and I dug into it a little bit more, was the ability to target addresses. And it's in Facebook, I should say. And so you can put in an address, say your business, and target anybody that's in that location. And you can do that lives in that location. You can do that's in that location but doesn't live there. You can even do people that are in that location but they live more than 100 miles away, I think it is. And so, if you're you could really target, if you know somebody's in from out of town and they're near your business, you can run ads that relate to that avatar,
Oh, wow. So wait, so I can run ads to people that are sitting in Starbucks that say, hey, dude, are you in Starbucks? Bob. And then get everybody that knows a Bob to answer and tell me that, yeah, I'm in Starbucks.
Your ad would filter them out as saying, attention, Bob in Starbucks, but it would go, it's within a mile radius of that address. Like a mile is the lowest amount of distance.
Right, so if I hit enough people, though, someone will be in Starbucks.
So that's absolutely killer for a local market.
Yeah,
that actually, I mean... You want a billboard that actually only turns on when they're within a few miles. It's nice.
If you were a movie theater or a dessert place or a restaurant, targeting if you're a movie theater, target all the restaurants around you on a Friday night. Say, hey, you don't have plans after dinner. If you're a dessert place, target all.
Paul Blart movies out. Come on down.
Well, and make sure that that's obviously highly mobile responsive, since those people are going to be doing that search from their sitting in a restaurant on their phone, right?
Yeah.
Well, but even you look at empty nights, you look at late night specials, you look at fill the door, and what are you going to spend? $25, $30? You're going to pay somebody to wave a sign to do that.
Yeah, so, there are a lot of businesses that have certain days of the week or certain times of the day when they're busy as heck, and other times when they can't, buy a customer. Well, this is a way they can potentially actually go buy a customer.
And for you,
probably cheaper than Groupon.
Yeah, right. And for national, take your full record customer list and follow them around Facebook. You have a full record on everybody you sold to, because it's kind of required by the credit card companies for odd reasons. And so just take that, upload it, and target those people. Wow, looks good to me.
What a novel idea.
Yeah. Well, guys, let's go ahead and wrap it up, and we'll see everybody next week on the Hangout. It does take a while to get these uploaded to YouTube. It's a tedious job of downloading, uploading, and then saving and publishing.
Cutting off the first 10 minutes of us trying to figure out if anybody could see us.
Well, I'm not going to go to that much trouble, but
please go to that much trouble, Leslie. This is a marketing asset that we're publishing on the internet. Act like a professional.
I'll see if I can find somebody to do that, or innovation, and
then
find somebody to do that. But yes, it will get posted, and hopefully.
Let me tell you about Odesk.
And hopefully we can actually get the the workaround, the bug fix. We don't have to use the workaround, but don't get me started on that. And so we'll see everybody next week. Well, you'll see us. We can't really see you in case you're concerned. Yeah, okay, Corey can't. Nice.
I see Bobby and Susie.
Did you pick?
Billy.
Oh, wait a minute. There's one. Who's that one?
Yeah, okay, nice.
Yeah.
All right, thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next week, Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching.
Fantastic. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.